The sky over Seoul was not blue anymore. It had not been blue for almost 10 years. Now, the massive ships of the VEC blocked the sun. They hung in the air like giant metal insects, dark and threatening. Their shadows fell over the city all day long. Han-Ta stood in line with his neighbors. They all looked down at their feet. No one wanted to catch the eye of the VEC guards. The aliens stood tall on 6 legs, their hard shells gleaming green and black in the dim light. Their faces had no features that humans could understand, just compound eyes that seemed to see everything at once. "Next," said the translator device hanging from the nearest guard's neck. The voice sounded almost human, but empty of all feeling. Ta stepped forward. His heart beat fast, but his face showed nothing. He had learned that trick years ago. Show nothing. Feel nothing where they could see it. "ID," demanded the guard. Ta held out his arm. The guard scanned the chip under his skin with a quick movement. Han-Ta. Section 12. Maintenance worker. The guard made a clicking sound that the translator didn't catch. "Your home has been selected for resource inspection." Tae's stomach dropped. Resource inspection meant they would take whatever food his family had saved. "We paid our quota this week," he said carefully. His voice was steady, but his hands wanted to shake. The guard's head tilted. "Your section failed to meet water recycling targets. All homes will contribute additional food resources as correction." 2 smaller VEC drones floated past Ta toward his small apartment. He wanted to run after them, to stop them, but that would mean death. No one fought the VEC and lived. Through the open door, he could see the drones opening cabinets and storage bins. His sister Soo-jin stood in the corner, her thin face tight with anger but silent. She knew the rules too. The drones found the hidden rice bag under the floor panel. They found the dried fish behind the loose wall tile. They even found the small jar of honey that Ta had traded 3 weeks of extra work shifts to get for Soo-jin's birthday next week. The drones took it all. When they left, Ta was given a receipt on thin paper. It showed what they had taken and called it a voluntary contribution. "Next home inspection in 14 days, said the guard. "Improve your section's compliance." Ta walked back to his apartment. His steps were slow. How would they eat now? The official rations were never enough. Everyone knew that. The VEC kept humans weak on purpose. Soo-jin was sitting at their small table when he entered. Her dark eyes were dry. She had stopped crying about VEC raids years ago. "They took everything," she said. Ta nodded. "The whole section is being punished." Soo-jin's hands tightened into fists. "Mrs. Park next door has a sick baby. What will she feed him now?" Ta had no answer. He sat down heavily across from his sister. "We'll share what rations we get." Like always. Soo-jin looked at him for a long moment. Then she stood up. "Come with me." She led him to her small bedroom and closed the door. Then she pulled out a box from under her bed. Inside was something covered with a cloth. "I could be killed for this," she whispered as she removed the cloth. Tae's eyes widened. It was a model of some kind of mechanical bird. It looked like a crow, with black metal feathers and a sharp beak. But Tai could see tiny motors and what looked like camera lenses where the eyes should be. "What is this?" he asked, keeping his voice low. Soo-jin's eyes burned with a fire he hadn't seen in years. "This is how we fight back." She turned the model over. On its belly was a tiny symbol, a single feather crossed with what looked like a lightning bolt. "They think they own our skies," Soo-jin said. Her voice was quiet but full of steel. "But they don't know our birds yet." Ta stared at the mechanical crow. For the first time in years, he felt something dangerous grow in his chest. Hope. The bridge of the human research vessel Corvus was quiet. Only the soft hum of computers and the occasional beep of monitoring systems broke the silence. Captain Hyun-Woo stood at the center, his eyes fixed on the large screen showing the vast darkness of space. The Velox Empire controlled most of the known trade routes. Their ships were huge and powerful. They looked down on humans as if they were nothing more than insects, Every time a human exploration ship came too close to their territory, the Velox would send out massive battlecruisers. These ships used powerful electromagnetic pulses that could stop human technology in seconds. But today was different. Daeum Kim, the ship's best communication expert, leaned forward. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic control panel. Something was happening. Something strange. "Captain," she called out, her voice sharp and clear, "we're picking up an unusual signal." Hyunwoo walked over to her station. The screen showed a jumble of signals that made no sense. It wasn't like any message they had ever seen before. Most alien communications followed strict patterns. This was different. This was wild and unpredictable. "What am I looking at?" Hyunwoo asked. Daeun took a deep breath. "It's not a normal message. Look at how the data moves. It's like watching a flock of birds move through the sky. No clear leader. No single point of control." The junior communications officer, Jaewon Park, joined them. He pulled up additional data on a secondary screen. "The signal keeps changing," he said. "It's adapting. Every time we try to decode it, it shifts." Outside the ship's windows, the endless black of space seemed to watch them. Distant stars twinkled, silent witnesses to something big about to happen. Hyunwoo knew the Velox would laugh at this. They always did. To them, humans were a joke. Small, weak, unable to compete with their advanced technology. The Velox believed they owned everything, every trade route, every interesting piece of space. But something was different about this signal. "Can you track where it's coming from?" Hyunwoo asked. Daeun shook her head. "That's the weird part. It's everywhere and nowhere. Like it's not coming from a single point. More like a network." Jaewon pulled up a visual representation of the signal. It looked like a web. No, more like a swarm. Thousands of tiny points connected, moving, changing, communicating in a way that made no sense to human understanding. "It's a warning," Daeun suddenly said. Her voice was quiet but certain. "But not a warning like we understand. It's more like a preparation." Hyunwoo looked at the screen. The signal continued to dance and shift. Something was coming. Something the Velox would never expect. "Keep tracking it," he ordered. "And don't tell anyone outside this bridge." Not yet. The ship continued its journey through the dark. But now, something had changed. The universe had just become a lot more interesting. The old subway tunnels under Seoul were dark and cold. No trains had run here since the VEC came. Now these forgotten places belonged to rats, to the homeless, and to those with secrets. Soo-jin knelt on the dirty concrete floor. Her hands moved quickly as she attached the last metal feather to her creation. Next to her, Ta held a small light so she could see her work. "Is it ready?" he whispered. Soo-jin nodded. "This is the first real one, not just a model." She lifted up the mechanical crow. It was bigger than a real crow, about the size of a hawk. Its metal body gleamed dully in the weak light. "It needs a name," said a voice from the shadows. Tae turned. Jiho stepped into the circle of light. He was tall and lean, with short hair and eyes that missed nothing. Before the VEC came, he had been a pilot in Korea's Air Force. Now he was a garbage collector, and secretly part of Tai and Soo-jin's small resistance group. "We don't name tools," Soo-jin said, not looking up from her work. "It's more than a tool." Jiho crouched beside her. "It's the first soldier in our army." A soft laugh came from the tunnel entrance. Yeon-mi walked in, carrying a bag of electronic parts she had stolen from her job at the VEC Communication Center. Her round face was serious despite her laugh. "An army of one isn't much," she said. "It's a start," Tae replied. "And soon there will be more." Soo-jin stood up, holding the mechanical bird carefully. "This one will test my theory. If it works, we build more." The four of them walked deeper into the tunnel, to a wide open area that had once been a station platform. Soo-jin placed the crow on the ground and opened a small panel in its belly. She connected a thin wire from her tablet to the bird. "I'm loading the flight path and the signal pattern," she explained. Her fingers moved quickly over the screen. "If I'm right, this signal will interfere with VEC communications. They won't be able to detect the crow, and it might even disrupt their systems temporarily." Yun Mei looked nervous. "If you're wrong, they'll track the signal right to us." "Then we'd better be right," Jai-ho said grimly. Su Jin finished her work and disconnected the wire. She closed the panel and stepped back. "Everyone ready?" They all nodded. Su Jin pressed a button on her tablet. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the crow's eyes lit up with a soft red glow. Its wings twitched once, twice. Suddenly it rose into the air, smoothly and silently. "It works," Ta whispered. The mechanical bird hovered for a few seconds, then flew in a circle around them. Its movements were exactly like a real crow's. Quick, smart, with small head turns as if looking for food or danger. "Now for the test," Su Jin said. She tapped her tablet again. The crow flew higher, toward the ceiling of the tunnel. Then it found a ventilation shaft and disappeared into it. "Where is it going?" Ji-ho asked. "To the surface," Su Jin replied. "It will fly near a VEC patrol, emit the signal, and return here. If it comes back, we'll know it wasn't detected." They waited in tense silence. 10 minutes passed, then 20. "Maybe they caught it," Yun Mai said finally. Just then, they heard a soft whirring sound. The mechanical crow flew back through the shaft and landed smoothly on the ground in front of them. Su Jin quickly connected to it again. Her eyes widened as she read the data. "It worked," she said, her voice shaking with excitement. "The VEC patrol's communications went down for almost 30 seconds when our crow flew overhead. They didn't detect it at all. They'd blamed the outage on equipment failure." Jai-ho smiled for the first time in years. "Now we build more." "Many more," Tai agreed. Yun Mei looked at the mechanical bird, then at her friends. "You know what a group of crows is called?" she asked. The others looked at her. "A murder," she said. "A group of crows is called a murder." Jai-ho nodded slowly. "Then that's what we'll call ourselves. The murder." "The murder," Tae repeated. The name felt right. Su Jin picked up her creation. "One crow is just a bird. But a murder of crows," she smiled, and there was something dangerous in it. That's something even the VEC should fear. Dawn was just breaking over Seoul. The VEC ships hung in the sky as always, dark shapes against the pale morning light. Below them, the city was quiet. The night curfew was still in effect for another hour. In 100 different hiding places across the city, hands reached for switches. Eyes checked the time. Hearts beat fast with fear and hope. In the old subway tunnel, Ta stood with Su Jin, Ji-ho, and Yun Mai. Around them were 20 people they had carefully recruited over the past months. Everyone was silent, watching the large screen Yun Mai had set up. It showed a map of the city with a blinking dot, a VEC patrol ship making its morning rounds. "It's time," Su Jin said quietly. Jae-ho nodded and spoke into a small radio. "All nests, release the crows. I repeat, release the crows." Tada felt a strange calm come over him. After months of planning, of building, of secret meetings and close calls with VEC patrols, it was finally happening. Their first real attack. On the screen, small dots appeared, moving toward the VEC ship. 100 mechanical crows, flying from rooftops and abandoned buildings all over the eastern part of Seoul. "They're closing in," Yun Mai reported, her eyes fixed on the screen. 60 seconds until contact. The room was so quiet that Tai could hear people breathing. Some had their eyes closed, praying. Others stared at the screen, unable to look away. 30 seconds, Yun Mai said. Su Jin gripped Ta's hand tightly. 10 seconds. Jai-ho leaned forward, his face tense. Contact. On the screen, the small dots surrounded the larger one. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the Vec ship's dot began to move strangely, zigzagging across the screen. It's working. Yunmei cried. Their systems are failing. The people in the room began to cheer, but Jiho held up his hand for silence. Wait, he said. Let's see what happens. On the screen, the Vec ship was losing altitude fast. It swerved toward the Han River, its movement uncontrolled. Then it disappeared from the map. Yunmei quickly switched the screen to a feed from a camera they had hidden near the river. The Vec patrol ship, about the size of a bus, was half submerged in the water. Steam rose from it as its hot engines met the cold river. No Vec were visible. They were either dead inside or had abandoned ship. This time, no one could hold back the cheers. People hugged each other, some crying with joy. It was the first time anyone had successfully attacked the Vec since the early days of the invasion. Toddy felt dizzy with happiness. We did it, he whispered to Su Jin. We really did it. But Jiho wasn't celebrating. His face was grim as he looked at the screen. They'll react, he said, hard and fast. Get everyone to the safe houses. Now. He was right. Within an hour, the skies over Seoul filled with Vec ships. The aliens imposed an immediate full lockdown. Anyone found outside would be shot on sight. Homes were searched at random. From their hiding place, the murder watched the Vec response through feeds from hidden cameras. Yunmei had hacked into the Vec communication system and was translating their messages. They're confused, she reported. They don't know what caused the ship to crash. They think it might have been a technical failure. They don't suspect the CROWS. Tai asked. Yunmei shook her head. They don't. They saw birds, but they always ignore Earth wildlife. For a moment, they allowed themselves to feel hope again. But then, Yunmei's face changed as she listened to her earpiece. What is it? Su Jin asked. They're setting up checkpoints everywhere, Yunmei said. And they're looking for people with technical skills. Engineers, pilots, anyone who might have knowledge to build weapons. Jiho's face went pale. As a former military pilot, he was exactly the kind of person they would be looking for. I should go, he said. I'm putting everyone at risk. No, Ta said firmly. We stay together. But 3 hours later, the Vec found Jiho. A patrol stopped him when he was moving between safe houses. They scanned his chip, saw his old military record, and took him away. That night, the murder gathered again in the tunnel. We have to get him back, Ta said. Su Jin nodded. We will. And we'll need more CROWS. The Vec processing facility stood on what used to be Seoul's main sports stadium. High walls surrounded it. Guards patrolled day and night. Humans went in, but few came out. Tai, Su Jin, and Yunmei crouched on a rooftop half a mile away. Through binoculars, they studied the facility. Jiho is in there somewhere, Ta said. But how do we get in? Su Jin held up a small bag. Inside were 5 mechanical CROWS, smaller than their first models. These might help. I made them to carry small cameras. They can map the inside of the facility. Yunmei looked worried. Even if we map it, there are too many guards. We're only 3 people. 2 people, said a voice behind them. They spun around. A man stood there, pointing a gun at them. He was tall with broad shoulders. His face was hard, but his eyes looked tired. Who are you? Tai asked. His hand moved slowly toward the knife in his pocket. Don't, the man said, seeing the movement. I'm not here to hurt you. My name is Hyun. What do you want? Su Jin demanded. Hyun lowered his gun a little. I've been watching your group. The CROW attack on the Vec ship was clever. I don't know what you're talking about, Yunmei said quickly. Hyun smiled slightly. Yes, you do, and I want to help. My people have been fighting the Vec too, but in a different way. Your people? Tai asked. There are other resistance groups, Hyun explained. Mine specializes in information. We found ways to listen to Vec communications. We know they're holding your friend, along with 20 other high-value prisoners. The three friends looked at each other. Could they trust this stranger? Why would you help us? Su Jin asked. Because we have the same enemy, Hyun said simply. And because your crow technology could change everything. After much discussion, they agreed to work together. Hyun took them to his hideout, a series of rooms hidden beneath an old library. There, they met his team. 6 men and women with serious faces and quick hands. One woman sat surrounded by screens showing VEC communication data. This is what we know, she told them, pointing to a map on the main screen. The prisoners are here, in the lower level. Guards change at these times. There's a blind spot in their sensors here. Ta was impressed. You've gathered all this intelligence by yourselves. Hyun nodded. For 3 years, but we've never had a way to act on it. We can listen, but we can't fight back. Not until now. They spent the next 2 days planning. Su Jin and Hyun's tech expert worked together to modify the crows. Yeon Mi and Hyun's communication specialist created a program to disrupt the VEC security systems. On the 3rd night, they moved. 20 mechanical crows flew ahead of them, causing small disruptions across the facility. As alarms blared in distant sections, Ta, Su Jin, Hyun, and 2 of his people slipped through a service entrance. Inside, they moved quickly through dark corridors. Twice they had to hide from VEC guards. The mapped route from the crows guided them deeper into the facility. They found the prison cells in the basement. Jiho was in the 3rd cell they checked. He was thin and bruised, but his eyes lit up when he saw them. I knew you'd come, he whispered as Tai helped him stand. We're getting everyone out, Hyun said, already working on the next cell. One by one, they freed the prisoners. Some were too weak to walk and had to be carried. One old man wept silently when they opened his door. I thought I would die here, he said. As they led the group toward the exit, an alarm suddenly sounded. They've discovered the breach, Yeon Mi said, checking her tablet. We have 3 minutes before full lockdown. They ran, helping those who couldn't move quickly. Just as they reached the service entrance, VEC guards appeared at both ends of the corridor. We're trapped, one of Hyun's people said. But then a strange sound filled the air, the cawing of crows. Dozens of mechanical birds swooped through ventilation shafts and attacked the VEC guards, confusing them with flashing lights and disruptive signals. In the chaos, the humans escaped into the night. Back at the library hideout, as they tended to the freed prisoners, an older man approached Ta. He had been one of the last people they rescued. The VEC questioned me about their new project, he said quietly. What project? Tai asked. They're building something huge, a machine to change Earth's air, to make it good for them. The man's voice shook. But it will kill all humans. The mountain cave was cold, but the people inside were too busy to notice. What had once been an empty space was now filled with tables, tools, and machines. This was the nest, the new home of the murder. Su Jin stood at the main table, surrounded by parts for mechanical crows. Her hands moved quickly, putting the pieces together. Around her, 20 people did the same work. They had been at it for weeks. How many now? Tai asked as he walked up to his sister. Su Jin wiped sweat from her forehead. 512. But we need thousands. On the other side of the cave, Jiho was teaching new recruits how to control the crows. He had recovered from his time in the VEC prison, though he was still thinner than before. His eyes now held a hard look that hadn't been there before. They're learning fast, he told Ta. Soon we'll have enough pilots. Yeon Mi sat with Hyun at the communication center they had built. Screens showed VEC movements across Korea. The VEC are moving more ships to the coast, she said, pointing to the map. They're bringing in parts for their air machine. Hyun nodded grimly. My contacts in other countries report the same thing. The VEC are building these machines all over the world. How long do we have? Tai asked. 2 months, maybe less, Hyun replied. Once the machines start working, we'll have weeks before the air becomes toxic. Ta looked around the cave at all the people working. The rescue mission had changed everything. News of their success had spread, and more people had joined them. What had started as 4 friends was now a real resistance army. But would it be enough? "Show me the new crows," he said to Su Jin. She picked up a mechanical bird from her table. It was smaller than their first models and darker. Its eyes glowed with a faint blue light. "These are the Mark III crows," she explained. "Smaller, faster, and with better signal disruptors. They can fly higher and longer too." "And they can do this," Jai-Ho added. He pressed a button on a small controller. The crow's beak opened, and a tiny dart shot out, hitting a target on the wall. "Weapons?" Tai asked, surprised. Jai-Ho nodded. "Just small ones. Darts with a chemical that can burn through Vec armor. Not enough to kill, but enough to hurt and confuse them." "We're not just going to defend anymore," Hyun said, walking over. "We're going to attack. All of us together." He led Ta to a large table with a map of the world. Small figures marked resistance groups in different countries. "I've been in contact with them all," Hyun explained. "Everyone who's still fighting. We've shared your sister's designs for the crows. They're building them now, all over the world." Ta stared at the map. "There are so many." "Humans don't give up easily," Hyun said with a small smile. A young woman ran up to them. "The test is ready," she said. They followed her to the mouth of the cave. Outside, the sun was setting. In the valley below, 50 mechanical crows were lined up on the ground. Su Jin stood with a tablet in her hands. "This is our first massed flight test," she said. "If it works, we'll know the crows can fly in formation and respond to commands as a group." She pressed a button on her tablet. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, as one, all 50 crows rose into the air. They formed a perfect V shape, like real birds migrating. Then, at another command, they split into 5 groups of 10, each group flying in a different pattern. "Beautiful," Jai-Ho whispered. The crows came back together, then dove toward the ground at high speed before pulling up at the last second. Every movement was perfectly timed. "It works," Su Jin said, her voice filled with pride. "They fly as one." Hyun turned to Ta. "Now we need to synchronize with the other resistance groups. When we attack, it must be all at once, worldwide." Ta nodded. "When?" "The next time the Vec ships sync with their main hive," Yum Mai said, joining them. "That's when all their systems connect for updates. It happens every 60 days. "And the next sync?" Tai asked. "In 15 days, Yun Mai replied. "That's our window." Ta looked at the mechanical crows still flying in the sky. "Soon, there would be thousands, maybe millions. Then we have work to do," he said. 15 days to save the world." Dawn broke over Seoul. The sky was clear except for the Vec ships that always hung there. The city was quiet. Today was a normal day for the Vec. They had no idea what was coming. In the mountain cave, the nest was full of activity. Men and women checked equipment, loaded crows onto trucks, and waited for orders. The air was thick with tension and hope. Ta stood with Su Jin, Ji-Ho, Yun Mai, and Hyun around the main table. A large screen showed the time. 6 o'clock. "It's time," Hyun said. "All teams are in position across Korea." Ta nodded and picked up a radio. "This is Eagle Nest to all units. Operation Blackbird begins now. Good luck." Trucks left the cave, driving down hidden mountain roads toward Seoul and other cities. Each truck carried hundreds of mechanical crows, ready for release. "The other resistance groups are ready too," Yun Mai reported, looking at her screens. "Europe, Americas, Africa, Asia, all waiting for the signal." 2 hours until the Vec sync begins," Jai-Ho said, checking his watch. Su Jin looked at her brother. "We've done all we can. Now we wait." The trucks reached their positions on the edges of cities across Korea. Teams of resistance fighters unloaded crates of mechanical crows. They placed them on rooftops, in parks, even on tops of VEC guard posts. The VEC never looked twice at the small black objects that seemed like normal Earth birds. At 7:30, Ta gave the next order. Released the first wave. Across Korea, thousands of mechanical crows came to life. They rose into the air in small groups, flying like normal birds. The VEC paid no attention to them. Earth wildlife was beneath their notice. First wave successful, Hyun-mi reported. No reaction from the VEC. Hyun pointed to the world map on another screen. Other countries are reporting the same. The VEC aren't suspicious. By 8 o'clock, the sky over Seoul was filled with black shapes. 10,000 mechanical crows circled the city, with more arriving every minute. People looked up from the streets, pointing and whispering. They knew something was happening. The VEC finally noticed too. Their patrols began to scan the birds, but found nothing unusual. The crows were designed to appear normal to their sensors. Second wave, Tai ordered at 8:15. More crows rose from hiding places. Now the sky was so full of black shapes that it began to darken, like storm clouds gathering. On the main screen, a message appeared from resistance groups around the world. Ready. Tai checked the time. 8:45. 15 minutes until the VEC sink. All units report ready, Jaiho said. Soo-jin took a deep breath. This will work, she said, more to herself than to the others. At 8:55, the main VEC ships began to glow with a purple light. The sink was starting. Now, Ta shouted. Hyun-mi pressed a button on her console. A signal went out to all the mechanical crows at once. Around the world, millions of black metal birds received the same command. The crows attacked, not with weapons, but with signal disruptors. Each crow emitted a specific frequency that interfered with VEC technology. One crow's signal was too weak to matter, but millions together created a wave of disruption that washed over every VEC ship and facility. On the screens in the nest, they watched as VEC ships began to lose control. Some tilted in the air, others drifted away from their positions. Many lost power completely and fell toward the ground. It's working, Jiho shouted. Reports flooded in from around the world. The same thing was happening everywhere. The VEC fleet was in chaos. A massive VEC ship near Seoul tried to fire at the crows, but its weapons wouldn't work. It tilted sideways, then began to sink toward the ground. It crashed into an empty field outside the city with a sound like thunder. For the first time in 10 years, the skies belonged to humans again. We did it, Soo-jin whispered, tears in her eyes. But Hyun was frowning at a new message on the screen. The main high ship is still active, he said. They're trying something. A moment later, a huge pulse of energy shot out from the largest VEC ship. Hundreds of crows fell from the sky, dead. They're fighting back, Ta said. This isn't over yet. The energy pulse from the VEC high ship spread across the sky like a ripple in water. Where it passed, mechanical crows fell dead. But there were too many crows to stop them all. They're using an electromagnetic pulse, Soo-jin said, studying the data on her tablet. It kills our crows, but it also damages their own systems even more. Hyun-mi pointed to her screen where messages from around the world were appearing. The VEC ships are falling everywhere. London, New York, Tokyo. All report major VEC crashes. What about the ground forces? Tai asked. People are attacking VEC bases and patrols, Hyun reported. The VEC can't call for help because their communications are down. On the streets of Seoul, humans were coming out of their homes. They watched as VEC ships wobbled in the air or crashed to the ground. Some people began to cheer. Others picked up whatever they could use as weapons and moved toward VEC buildings. It's time for the ground attack, Jaiho said. He picked up a bag with a controller for his own squad of crows. We need to take the main command center while they're weak. Ta nodded. I'll lead the first team. He turned to his sister. Soo-jin, you stay here and coordinate the crows. Be careful, she said, hugging him quickly. Tai, Ji-ho, and 30 fighters left the nest in trucks. They drove toward the center of Seoul where the main VEC command building stood, a tall black structure that had once been City Hall. As they drove, they saw people in the streets attacking VEC guards. The aliens were confused without their normal communication systems. Some fought back hard. Others retreated to their buildings. The whole city is rising up, Ji-ho said, looking out the window of the truck. When they reached the command center, they found a group of humans already fighting with VEC guards at the entrance. Tai led his team to join them. "We have CROWS support," he told the fighters. "Stay back for a moment." Ji-ho activated his controller. 20 mechanical crows swooped down from the sky. They dove at the VEC guards, firing darts that burned through alien armor. The VEC stumbled back, trying to swat the crows away. "Now," Ta shouted. The humans charged forward. The battle was fierce. The VEC were stronger than humans, but without their technology working properly, they couldn't coordinate. The humans fought together, protecting each other, moving as one force. They pushed into the building, floor by floor. The crows flew ahead, disrupting VEC weapons and communications. Slowly, they made their way toward the central control room. Meanwhile, at the nest, Soo-jin was directing the main crow force to keep pressure on the VEC ships. Yeon-mi suddenly called out, "Soo-jin, look at this data." Soo-jin studied the screen. It showed patterns from the VEC communication system. "What am I seeing?" "I think it's their neural network," Yeon-mi explained. "The VEC are connected to each other mentally. When our crows disrupt their communications, we're not just stopping their machines, we're disrupting their minds too." Soo-jin's eyes widened. "If we could target the main network directly, we might shut down all the VEC at once," Yeon-mi finished. They quickly sent this information to Ta's team. In the command center, Tae received the message as they reached the top floor. "We need to find the main network hub," he told his fighters. "It's our best chance." The door to the central control room was blocked by a group of elite VEC warriors. These aliens were bigger than the others, with thicker armor and more weapons. They moved forward to attack. The humans fought hard, but the elite VEC were too strong. 3 fighters fell, then 4 more. Tad was thrown against a wall, his arm bleeding badly. Ji-ho saw his friend in danger. He sent all his remaining crows against the largest VEC warrior. As the alien was distracted, Ji-ho charged forward with an electric spear. He drove it deep into the VEC's body, but not before the alien's blade cut across his chest. "Ji-ho!" Ta screamed, running to his friend. Ji-ho fell to his knees, blood soaking his shirt. "Keep going," he gasped. "For all of us." The remaining fighters pressed the attack. With the elite warriors weakened by the crow darts, they finally broke through to the central control room. Inside, they found what they were looking for, a glowing purple crystal the size of a car. The VEC network hub. "We need to plant Soo-jin's signal amplifier," Ta said, holding his wounded friend. "It's our only chance." Blood dripped from Ta's arm as he pulled the signal amplifier from his pack. Ji-ho lay on the floor next to him, breathing in short, painful gasps. Around them, the remaining fighters kept watch for more VEC. The purple crystal hummed in the center of the room. It filled the air with a strange vibration that made Ta's teeth hurt. This was the heart of the VEC command system. "Hurry," Ji-ho whispered. "More will come." Ta nodded and moved toward the crystal. The amplifier in his hands was Soo-jin's best work, a device that would boost the crow disruption signal 1,000 times. If it worked, it would send the signal through the entire VEC network at once. Back at the nest, Soo-jin watched her screen anxiously. "Ta's team has reached the hub," she told the others. "They're placing the amplifier now." Yeon-mi worked quickly on her keyboard. "I'm redirecting all remaining crows to the command center. They'll need protection." Hyun pointed to another screen. "The VEC mothership is moving. It's trying to get out of range." Soo-jin shook her head. "It won't help them. Once we're in their network, distance won't matter. In the command room, Ta carefully attached the amplifier to the crystal. The device locked into place with a soft click. Now he had to activate it. A sudden noise made him turn. 3 more elite Vec warriors burst into the room. The human fighters rushed to meet them, but they were tired and outnumbered. "The button," Jai-Ho said, pointing weakly at the amplifier. "Press it." Tai reached for the device, but a Vec warrior broke through the line of defenders. It towered over Tai, its blade raised to strike. A mechanical crow suddenly flew through the window. It dove straight at the Vec's face, firing darts into its eyes. The alien stumbled back, screeching in pain. More crows poured through the windows and vents. Hundreds of black metal birds filled the room, swarming around the Vec warriors. The aliens swung wildly at them, but couldn't hit the fast-moving targets. Tai pressed the button on the amplifier. It began to glow with a blue light that spread to the crystal. The humming sound grew louder. "It's working," he said to Jai-Ho. In the nest, alarms began to sound on Yunmei's console. "The signal is spreading through their network," she reported. "Every Vec ship and facility is being affected." On screens around the world, resistance groups watched as Vec fell to the ground, their bodies twitching. The aliens clutched their heads as if in terrible pain. The mothership above Seoul began to drift sideways in the sky. Its lights flickered off and on. Then, slowly, it began to rise. Higher and higher it went, moving away from Earth. Other Vec ships that could still fly followed it. Some Vec ships weren't so lucky. They fell from the sky, crashing into empty fields or the ocean. On the ground, Vec soldiers collapsed or ran blindly, trying to escape the pain in their heads. In the command center, Ta helped Jai-Ho to his feet. "Look," he said, pointing out the window. The sky was clearing. For the first time in 10 years, real sunlight fell on Seoul without Vec ships blocking it. "We did it," Jai-Ho said weakly, leaning on his friend. 3 months later, Tai stood on a hillside overlooking Seoul. The city was still damaged, but people were rebuilding. Without the Vec to stop them, humans were reclaiming their world. Su-Jin joined him, holding a small mechanical crow in her hands. It was a new model, designed for peaceful work, to help rebuild, not to fight. "Jai-Ho is asking for you," she said. "The doctors say he can go home next week." Ta smiled. "That's good news." "Look," Su-Jin said, pointing to the sky. A flock of real crows flew overhead, their black wings shining in the sunlight. Behind them, the sky was clear and blue, with no alien ships to be seen. "They thought they owned the skies," Ta said softly. Su-Jin nodded, but they didn't know about the crows. In cities around the world, people were building monuments. Each one was the same. A statue of a mechanical crow with wings spread wide. A reminder of how humanity had fought back and won. The Vec had not returned. Maybe they never would. But if they did, humans would be ready. They had learned an important lesson. Even the smallest creatures could change the world when they worked together. In every city, crows, both real and mechanical, flew freely in the clear blue sky.